You are standing at the edge of something dangerous. No walls behind you, no reinforcements coming, just open land, a rival group 30 feet away, and a sharpened rock in your hand. Your heart already knows what your brain is still calculating. This moment, raw, territorial, survival-edged, is older than language, older than farming, older than anything we'd recognize as civilization. And somewhere inside it, the sword was already being born, not in a forge, not in a flash of brilliance, but here, in desperation, in the grinding, generation after generation need to reach further, cut deeper, and survive one more season. The sword didn't arrive suddenly. It was pulled slowly out of 100,000 years of moments exactly like this one. Here's what most people don't realize. The impulse to create a cutting tool didn't begin with us. Long before Homo sapiens walked out of Africa, our ancestors were already shaping stone into something intentional. Acheulean hand axes, symmetrical, deliberately crafted, appear in the archaeological record nearly 1.7 million years ago. Neanderthals were hafting spearheads to wooden shafts, binding stone to timber with pine resin and raw animal tendon, creating composite weapons that required planning, patience, and genuine cognitive sophistication. This wasn't accident. This was problem-solving encoded into survival. Every time an early human struck one rock against another and watched a sharper edge emerge, they were following the same cognitive thread. The sword didn't appear from nowhere. It was the inevitable destination of a journey that began the moment our ancestors first looked at the world around them and thought, "I can make this work for me." But wanting a better weapon and being able to build one are two very different things. For most of human prehistory, the sword was physically impossible. Not because humans lacked the imagination, but because the materials didn't cooperate. Stone could be razor sharp, but push it to any real length and it shatters. Wood could extend your reach, but it couldn't hold an edge worth trusting your life to. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans were locked inside these material limitations, building the best weapons they could from what the earth offered them in raw, unrefined form. Then something changed. Copper appeared first, found naturally, beaten cold into rough shapes. Then someone, somewhere, discovered that intense heat transformed it entirely. That metal wasn't just found, it could be remade. Bronze followed copper and tin combined, harder, more reliable, capable of holding a length and an edge simultaneously. It was an unlock that had been generations in the making. Each accidental discovery passed forward like a slow inheritance, until finally the material caught up with the idea. This is where the sword actually arrives, not as a sudden invention, but as an elongation of something older. Around 3000 BCE, across the Aegean, the Near East, and the Indus Valley, daggers began stretching. Longer blades, reinforced hilts. What started as a defensive tool slowly became something else entirely. The Mycenaeans forged leaf-shaped blades built for both cutting and thrusting. Half a world away, early Chinese smiths were shaping their own version of the jian, refining balance and edge with startling precision. Then, around 1200 BCE, the world shifted again. Iron replaced bronze, not because it was superior in every way, but because it was everywhere. Suddenly, this lethal technology wasn't reserved for the wealthy or the powerful. It was accessible. And once a weapon becomes accessible, it stops being a tool. It becomes a force that reshapes entire societies. Walk into almost any museum today, and you'll see them ceremonial swords, gleaming under careful lighting, treated as artifacts of history. But they're not just history. They're a mirror. The logic of the sword lives everywhere you don't see it anymore. In how we design precision tools, in how militaries approach problems, in courtroom symbols of justice, where the blade still stands for authority and power. Even in how we speak, we sharpen arguments, we cut through complexity, we wield words like weapons. The sword didn't disappear when firearms arrived. It transformed. Its logic that efficiency in violence was worth investing human genius toward that logic never left us. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because here's what archaeology reveals when you're willing to look directly at it. One of humanity's most refined technologies was engineered specifically to end human life. Not as a side effect, not as an unfortunate byproduct, but as the central purpose. We took our highest cognitive functions, our ability to plan across generations, our capacity to innovate under pressure, and we directed all of it toward one problem: how to kill more efficiently. This wasn't barbarism. This was intelligence applied with absolute clarity of purpose. The same brain that could imagine bronze being possible was the brain that understood exactly what a longer blade would do to an opponent. We weren't less sophisticated than we are now. We were differently focused. And that should make us think carefully about what we choose to perfect today and what that reveals about who we really are. But the sword was never really about the sword. It was about something deeper. It was about a human standing at the edge of uncertainty, holding something sharp and shaped, and feeling for the first time that they weren't completely powerless, that they could extend themselves beyond the limits of their own body, that they could reach further than biology allowed and reshape the world according to their will. That same impulse that sent an early human searching for the right stone is the same impulse that sends engineers today designing precision instruments, that drives us to build tools we've never needed before. The anxiety is the same. The desire to transcend our limits is the same. Only the materials have changed. We still stand at the edge of uncertain worlds, still reaching for sharper solutions, still believing that the right tool in the right hand can change everything. The blade was just the beginning of learning that.